we live in a very, a toxic world in general. I'm not saying people are toxic because I
Yeah.
love people and we all have this hope and right. But the chemicals and the pesticides
Yep.
and I mean, on and on and on. So again, and everybody's unique and they have their own trauma. I believe me, I'm a spoke in the wheel. I'm a spoke in the wheel to make your nutrition simpler. I don't believe in the 70 supplements. I don't believe in the 100 supplements that some people take. But I believe we need the inputs that our body says it needs, what our
Yeah.
biology says. So, and we start from there and then we can hone in and perfect things even better, right?
Welcome to MyMD Unscripted, where healthcare gets personal and the script gets tossed. I'm Dr. Clint Carter, ER doctor turned direct primary care freedom fighter. We're on a mission to challenge how our healthcare system treats patients in America. In every episode, my expert guests and I dive into real conversations about what's broken and how we can fix it by making healthcare about people, not just managing disease. It's time to rethink what healthcare should be and how we can make it better together. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the MyMD Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Clint Carter, and I am excited to be joined today by Kim Ressler. We met back in December at A4M, and it's taken this long to get together and talk, but she is the founder and CEO of SNiP Nutrigenomics. After spending a decade of struggling with her own health stuff, I'm sure we'll get into, she finally just sort of stumbled onto the power of to her genome, to her DNA, helping, figure out the right and the wrong things to do. So that's basically what we're going to be getting in today. I cannot wait. That experience led her to build a company called SNiP, which is, a SNP is what they call a section of DNA that has a purpose. So that's super cool. And then her whole goal is to make personalized DNA-based health solutions accessible to you guys and the doctors who take care of you. So without further ado, Kim, why isn't healthy working for more people? Because I think there's so much information out there and everybody comes to me and their labs look normal and they're trying to do everything right and it's just not working. They feel like crap. They don't look like they want to look. So introduce yourself properly, and then let's get rolling.
Thank you so much, Dr. Clint. I'm so delighted to be here. But you want me to answer that question first, I think. So why is healthy not what everybody's looking for? I mean,
Yeah.
it's because ultimately, it's just like you and I, Dr. Clint, we're different. We need different things. We're not looking at ourselves at the foundation. We're 99% alike, even though you're a male, I'm a female, right? But the way that we age, and those very, very key heavy hitting genes that may be more prominent for you or you may have variants on aren't mine and vice versa. And so
Right.
when we don't know, if you think about it, and I like to kind of laugh and joke about it, you buy a $20 blender, even a $20 blender, you get an owner's manual. Did you get an owner's manual when you were born?
Though I wish
So
I had an owner's manual when my kids were born. Now
I
that
know,
would have
right?
been yeah.
Right, right. I mean, so I think that's why one person, it works beautifully for one
Yeah.
person. And the next person sitting here going, well, I'm going to try that. We're throwing darts. We're throwing darts, not looking at our own biology first. And yes, DNA is very complicated. It can be confusing, but that's the ultimate goal of what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is simplify that and put you in the driver's seat of your own owner's manual. Use your genetic information as your superpower for better healthy aging. So
It's complicated, but it's as personal as it gets.
it is
So how did we get here? Tell us a little bit more background on how this all came about.
how it all came about. Well, admittedly, I didn't develop the science. So we'll start right there. My background was tax law. I used to train tax attorneys. Okay. I retired in 2007. I was pregnant with our fourth child, who is 18 and graduating,
Oh,
and here
congrats.
in just a few weeks.
Yep.
Anyway, I was pregnant with her. They saw something interesting in my blood work. I was your on the outside behind the mask. I was that person that was healthy. I moved my body. I ate really clean. I was doing everything I thought was right, right? But they saw something interesting in my blood work. And off I go to an endocrinologist while I was pregnant.
Oh.
And after the delivery of my daughter is really when everything started happening. It was the fatigue and it was the terrible sleep.
Hmm.
And I was still in the endocrinologist office all the time. I was in the endocrinologist office every single month for my entire pregnancy. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So ultimately, I had gone undiagnosed, misdiagnosed for 11 years. And after 5 years of being in an endocrinologist office and still the symptoms just kept compounding. And again, it started with I never felt refreshed after sleeping. I didn't sleep well at night. Then came the gut issues. It was just like things were just kept layering. And I was like, it was like light switches were turning off. And I was like, why? I
Yeah.
I was still doing I went vegan. I did a complete Ayurveda diet I was doing crazy cleanses. I was doing everything
Yep.
like, okay, let's try this and let's try this. And
Yeah.
health and wellness is a journey. It's not an event. It is, and it doesn't have to be perfection either. It has to be consistent small steps. This is what I'm all about. It has to be simple so that you can adopt it and make it part of your routine. It can't be these hours and hours of these different things. I was doing PEMF one time, 5 days a week.
Oh,
I
no
mean,
way.
I was trying to do anything and everything
That's everything. Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
to feel better. So in 2014, a girlfriend of mine and I were talking, and she says, my son's been diagnosed with ADHD. And she said, and I refuse to put him on medication. I think it's genetic. And so light bulbs started going off in my head, right? Anyway, I was like, you have to keep me posted. Well, that leads to the story of her spending $10,000 in 9 months on the methylation pathway. And we'll talk about methylation more. It's
Yeah.
basically the master switch, turning on and off everything. But in reality, who's got 10 grand
Right.
in 9 months to spend to
No.
understand that you need the bioactive format of folic acid, which is fortified in breakfast cereals, store-bought breads, et cetera, right? And when you've got these markers, you can't convert it. Well, let's just go back to then they also saw in his genetics that gluten was not his friend.
Yeah.
They took the kid off of gluten, they addressed his methylation, which in reality, I don't believe you can just address the methylation, especially as
Yeah. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that are older. We have to address other things,
Yeah.
oxidative stress and inflammation. But anyway, night and day different kid. So at the time we had moved out of state. I live in Southern California and we'd moved out of state. So we didn't have the doctors available to me that she was seeing. In the meantime, I was sitting there spending $300, $400 a month on adrenal gland, fatigue supplements, PMF 5 days a week, like I said.
Yeah.
Nobody was addressing me at the root though, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we come back and my husband says, when are we going to start that process? Okay, remember, I have 4 children. One had just graduated from college, moving to San Francisco. One had just going to their senior year of college, one a freshman year of college, and we were building a house. I said, timing's not right. We can't start this process. It's time consuming, it's expensive. And 2 days later, I got the blessing that this technology literally landed in my lap.
Hmm.
I have a partner in this business. He's silent. He had bought the technology from a group of doctors and doctors and scientists from the Human Genome Project. He basically advanced some things. He built machines that could make it so that we could actually do this for scale very cost effectively. And I fell in love. I literally fell in love with genetics and nutrigenomics, and I dove in. I dove in. I talked to every geneticist I could, every doctor I could, everybody
Okay.
that wouldn't listen to me at the time, going, there's nothing to that. But the reason I did is I tried it on myself. And it was like, remember I said those light switches turning off?
Yeah.
It was one by one. Those light switches were coming back on. And it was the energy. It was the amazing sleep. It was
Mhm.
so many things, so many things. And by the end of 4 months, which is a red blood cell cycle, I just was like, wow, this is really amazing. I didn't even know. This was 2018, just so you know, before I launched SNiP. And I didn't even know until 2020 what my underlying conditions were.
Well, it
So
didn't matter.
no,
You
I
had
felt
you
it.
had the
Yeah.
light switches.
Yep. And so in 2022, um, I needed to make a shift and an edit. And I said I needed to up level. I need to up level the product. I need to up level the panel. I need to do things a little different. And we launched SNiP Nutrigenomics in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right after COVID, because nothing else was going on during COVID, technically.
Yeah.
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 Well, and that's I mean, great place to just talk about the fact that that's the universal experience of everyone who's somewhere between aging, inflammatory, sick, just not feeling themselves. And then it just becomes, and as the provider, as the doctor in the room, it's like, hey, what should we try next? It's trial and error, educated guessing, what worked for their best friend already, those kind of things. So, I mean, that's to a large extent, that's kind of what a lot of medicine has always been, right?
Hmm.
Like this having a cheat code or any sort of insight broke into my practice a while back. Most practices, if we're going to use gene testing, we're going to use it mostly, unless we're testing a specific gene here and there. We do it for like drugs. Like, okay, which drugs should this patient not try or try? And then we get that, and if you get you get some information. We tested their whole genome. We just only were given that little bit of information, which, it was all I could handle at the time anyway.
Right.
But to go from sort of confusion and chaos to clarity is a fairly attractive story. And you took, you know, expensive, cumbersome, out of reach tech and by 2022 had made it more refined and more available. So what's next?
What's
What
next?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we need to impact a lot of people. I've had geneticists that'll look at this that actually do gene mapping. So, and we haven't got into truly explaining what nutrigenomics is, but
Yeah, we haven't got that far yet. Yeah.
but I mean, as science progresses, we want to keep progressing. I had a geneticist once who does genetic mapping, and then she does the nutrients. She looked at me, and I mean, with this, I mean, mouth drop. She goes, "Do you realize what you have your hands on?" And I had to smile, and I said, "Yes, I do." She goes, "No, I don't think you do." She said, "I do this for a living." She said, "You have just simplified it. You are so." I mean, she was like, "It's 95% correct for 100% of the population. The other 5%, it's not that it isn't. It's that I may have to do a little bit more because they're really sick or they have a condition or
Yeah.
whatever." So, do I believe that all the time? Again, we live in a very, a toxic world in general. I'm not saying people are toxic because I
Yeah.
love people and we all have this hope and right. But the chemicals and the pesticides
Yep.
and I mean on and on and on. So again, and everybody's unique and they have their own trauma. I believe me, I'm a spoke in the wheel. I'm a spoke in the wheel to make your nutrition simpler. I don't believe in the 70 supplements. I don't believe in the 100 supplements that some people take, but I believe we need the inputs that our body says it needs, what our
Yeah.
biology says. So, and we start from there and then we can hone in and perfect things even better, right? So,
So 90 I guess the next question is, what was 95% right for 99% of the people, right? Like, so let's get into what we're talking about here.
so
Nutrigenomics. That's a big word, Let's break that down. What exactly are we talking about here?
So, nutrigenomics is a study of nutrition based on your own genes. So, let's start with your blueprint. Your blueprint is your DNA makeup, right? So, Dr. Clint, how tall are you?
We'll call it 6 foot.
Okay. So, I can't take you from 6 foot and suddenly make you a 7 foot person, right?
Please don't.
What color are your eyes?
Blue.
Okay. I can't take your eyes. And so, I'm getting to a point here. I can't take and make your eyes another color. Those are non actionable genes. Okay. But science has proven and they know that we have what we call actionable genes, genes that impact heart health, our body's ability to detox, methylation, our immune response. our inflammatory response, things that impact our mood, our cognitive function, etc., right? All of these systems of the body, and they're highly actionable and they're nutritionally actionable. And that's where nutrigenomics comes in, understanding APOB, main protein component of LDL cholesterol. Do
Right.
you have variants? There's very specific plant-based nutrition that I can give you that can help optimize when you've got genetic variants to make that gene function optimally. Or you're young, this young person, and suddenly you've got this high LDL and you're going, why? Well, I can see then there's a gene called the PON1 gene. It's how you detox that bad cholesterol. And there's very specific nutrients that can help and support that. So, and then it leads to also giving you dietary guidelines of, hey, this, Mediterranean diet would probably be best for you if this is an area you struggle in. It just simplifies instead of you guessing, 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 guessing. So that's what nutrigenomics comes in to do on key heavy hitting genes. And that's the ones we look at. We look and we formulate specifically on heavy hitting genes that impact us in aging.
So, your body works. God gave you your DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And then DNA makes RNA, which makes proteins, which do things. And some of those proteins are structural. Blue eyes, 6 foot tall, handsomely bald, those kind of things. The bald actually we probably could have actioned it when I was in my 20s, but that's too late. But the idea is some of those things are structural things. You make bones, you make muscle, you whatever. But so much of what those proteins do are processes, are how things get done, not nouns, but verbs. They're doing genes, they're doing proteins. And then those processes that they're involved in, whether it's attaching a methyl group to a B vitamin so that your body can use it to make energy, or if it's taking something that your body doesn't need any more of, bind to it and get rid of it, like detoxifying things, those processes need certain nutrient, we'll call it vitamins or micronutrients. They need things. That process has, your car needs gas. Your car also needs oil. Your car also needs water. All of these things are necessary to make the car work. And then so often we're just guessing at what kind of gas and what kind of oil and how much water and all the things to make this thing work. And then there's genomics, which is your genes that God gave you. And then there's not all your genes are on all the time, right? So, and this is not for you, this is for the audience, obviously. But the idea is that you can adjust which genes turn on and which genes turn off based on what you eat, whether you exercise or not, whether you're making healthy choices or whether you're stressed to the max, whether you're sleeping at all. And so the idea is that we're just so much of what we're trying to do, so much of what I try to do with my patients is guessing at how to turn on the right genes, turn off the wrong genes, help them have less inflammation, help them detox better. Is there a supplement that might help? And so what you've got, if I'm understanding correctly, is based on probably a cheek swab or some level of fairly non-invasive DNA collection technique. You get their DNA, foundation, the structure, and then focus on the genes that are verbs that are doing things, and then figure out what do they need, what does their genes need that maybe my genes don't in order to make these processes work right.
That is absolutely accurate. And I've never heard anybody talk about it like nouns and verbs, but that is perfect. I
Well, I
love it.
hadn't thought of it till you talked about the fact that you can't change how tall I am. I was like, yeah, you're stuck. So the problem with genes for me as the doctor is that it's so much information. And I did have my genes. It was also in that same room with us in December at A4M, as it turns out. But he did my DNA, and he focused on some of them, but there was just so much. Like I need to listen to it like 5 times, and I need to make a list, and I need to start somewhere. But what I think I'm hearing from you is this is like sort of ready for the consumer
It
to
is.
make actionable steps. Um, Tell us how SNiP, the company, actually works. How does this come down to a patient level?
Okay, patient level. First and foremost, it's a simple cheek swab. We do swab left and right, completely HIPAA compliant, right? Password protected portal for the patient to log in. We are not doing polygenic risk scores. Okay. I'm interested in the actual SNP that has all of the science behind it that tells me if you've got these markers, artichoke extract and, these nutrients have been scientifically validated to optimize when you've got markers here. So we start with that. Our DNA reports are written at a sixth grade reading language. I'm not comparing you to the population. I'm comparing you to your
Yeah.
science. I mean, this
Yeah.
is what science has proven, right? I understand some people want to see like the polygenic risk score information, how it gives them, but what does that really give you?
Right.
I then yield out from that information. We test 103 actionable genes. Okay. We
Okay.
cut we custom compound on 22. We can make up upwards of 3 billion different formulas. It's literally, we take it and we literally custom compound for the individual, either into a powder format or a veggie cap format product. It's whole food based. So
Hmm.
it's plant-based nutrition, vitamins, minerals, micronutrients in the right format, in the dose that science has said will optimize the gene.
Wow.
And it's made just for the individual.
Wow. So that's a lot of combinations. I mean, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of variants in all of these, and then that's a lot of genes. So you got a lot of genes with a lot of variants from a lot of different people, and you're able to make, I mean, you got more combinations than Sonic and drink flavors on how you're gonna get and when we're talking about it, we're talking about taking a few capsules a day. Like what does it look like in practicality?
In practicality, what it looks like, it's 7.5 grams, 2 scoops of powder. It's
Yeah.
raw, unflavored. Though that 7.5 grams equates to 10 veggie caps. So
Okay.
somebody could split it up: 5 morning, 5 lunch, three,
Yeah.
4, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, whatever works for them and their lifestyle.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I would just take all 10 in one gulp. I've been practicing. I've been because we're in the world of supplements, right? I've
Yeah.
got lots of supplements plus a couple medicines. I can just do the whole thing just one drink of water go on in my life. I've just proven it's possible just to make my kids mad that they get pissy about one capsule at a time.
Oh, see, I can only do 2 capsules at a time.
Yeah.
Two, then two.
I haven't been chewing food since the 90s. I just go. So ER doctors don't have time to chew. We eat on the run. But so I love that they get one product ready to go. It's not saying, "Hey, you should go get these 5 things and you might look at these 2 different companies," and you've got one product ready to go based on genetic code
Yeah.
for that
Well,
individual.
I think that's one thing that has so many people confused of reading other reports. It's the dosing. It'll say if you've got this, you need this. But if you've got this, don't take the ingredient from the other one. And then you're going,
Yeah.
oh gosh, what do I? It's all about dosing.
Yeah. Right.
So I will show you.
Yes.
It literally looks like, I mean, can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's made just for me based on my own genetics. One
Nice.
jar. That's it. And again, it's not this miracle. It's not meant and intended to be the end all be all.
Right.
If you've got specific conditions, et cetera, that hey, let's say, well, I'm not going to be your amino acids. I'm not that. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got simple omegas, but I'm not the complex omega.
Yeah.
So my stack is 2 things. It's my customized and my complex omega.
Yeah.
That's simple, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's not a replacement for exercise. It's not a replacement for a balanced diet. It's not a replacement for stress, handling your stress well. It's not a replacement for sleeping well, but it's probably going to help all those things, you know, right?
That would be
So
correct.
that's super. Yeah, that's I don't know. So now the skepticism kicks in. It's too easy, right? Do you get that a lot? That it's like we've been talking about using DNA and taking care of our patients for a long time. I can't wait till it gets here and it just tells us what they need. And this is kind of like weirdly close to that of hey, here's a supplement that's going to help them detox the toxins, help them make the energy. Because if you get someone with, one of the most famous SNP sections of DNA is the MTHFR thing. I think a lot of lay people have heard that, especially because if you try to say it as a word, it makes a cuss word, which is fun. But it's about whether you can methylate and make energy. So now you need to take a bunch of B vitamins. But then you hear, okay, well, you can't take too many B vitamins and especially if they're not methylated. And what do you do with that? And then you get this buildup. And so it's even on the few things that we're relatively familiar with, it's still tricky. But like you said, the dose is built in
Hmm.
and it's built into 10 capsules a day. I will go on a limb, say most of my listeners already take 10 capsules a day, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Between B complex and vitamin D, and which some of that may not, so like you probably might still need a vitamin D. Like, I mean, I don't
Uh,
know what's all in all of this, but I
well,
mean,
I've got 8,000 IUs of vitamin D in my product.
okay, so
For
maybe
me,
not.
that's mine.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on your genetic variants. I am that person. In my younger years, they were like, "Why do you keep getting sick?" And I was like, finally, it wasn't standard, and it's still not standard
Still not
to
standard.
test your vitamin D levels,
Yeah.
and it's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. Vitamin D impacts over 6,000 biochemical pathways in our body. It is our mood. It is our immune system. It is our bones, right? It impacts so many things. And
Metabolism, thyroid, sleep.
ev-
It's
ev-
crazy.
everything, right? Okay. Low vitamin D levels are related to all cause mortality, right? I mean, it just is. So, but nobody ever it's that request. Well, my vitamin D levels were in the teens. And so,
Wow.
but do you know, even back, and that was years ago, nobody ever said, "Oh, you need to be taking it." They
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, "Oh, she's just low."
Yeah.
Well, now I know my genetics on it. And I know for me to keep, we all have our own where you want to keep your range, right? And it's I mean, you'll read certain blood work says 25 to 50 is normal, 25 to 70 is normal. Then you step into the functional space and they want
Right.
you 70 to 100. And then
Yeah.
you understand there's the fight on
Yep.
that, right? For me, I like to keep my levels around 70. Okay.
Yep.
That's me. For me to keep my levels around 70, I need 8,000 IUs daily.
You know what? I have about the same requirement. I would love mine to be around 70. I typically end up closer to 100 because it doesn't come in 8,000 and 7,000 units. It comes in 5,000s and it comes in tens. And so I'm just, I take tens 4 to 5 times a week. Depends on how I fill up my little pill thingy with all my things like an old person. But they're all supplements. But I still, I'm still playing the game. If I just had one scoop that had the exact amount every time, even vitamin D would be simplified. That's fun.
Think,
What kind of?
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say, I think the thing is again, I want to go back to this isn't just this magic pill,
Yeah.
but it is you at a foundational level. And I'll give you a very specific example because you were talking about, is this too good to be true? But
Yeah.
um, last year, a personal story. My daughter came to me. My daughter she's got compound heterozygous on her MTHFR, so she's got them both. She's a slow COMT. You know where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
She's a worrying child. She is an overachieving, high achieving child. She had traveled out of the country 3 different times. She came to me and she said, "Mom, my stomach has not bothered me for a long time." She was prepping for ACT, SAT, the stress level, junior year, all of that. Well, we also know that she has a marker that she grows more of the bad bugs in her gut than the good bugs. And she had developed, again, I am not going to be an H. pylori protocol. She had developed a nice H. pylori colony. She
Yeah.
had. And so I worked with a provider that understood her customized formula, and we overlaid a H. pylori protocol,
Yeah.
making it very simple for her because there were other things she needed to do. In
Yeah.
about 3 months, we got her back to doing really great. No antibiotics. Her GI map showed that she would not react to any of the they wouldn't do well for her anyway. So we knew we had to do it naturally. So that's just to say, and then you said, is it too good? There's a very well-known doctor who said to me, he swabbed with us and he got on the product. He was on the product for about 6 months. He said, Kim, I had to stop taking it for 2 or 3. I just wanted to see. And he goes, it is crazy. It's night and day difference and it's so simple.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, if somebody, when I see somebody that might be struggling with the customized, I would say the majority of the time it's something underlying. Maybe it's mold. Maybe they've got way too many heavy metals, whatever.
Yeah.
But guess what? The DNA also, if you dive down through the DNA, it can tell you in all of our reports, hey, if you're still really struggling with detox, consider requesting these labs from your provider. I want to empower. Do you know all of those years? I didn't know the questions to ask. And now I can empower your patient to come to you and say to you, I'm really struggling here. I was reading this about me. Should we consider this test? Instead, you throwing darts again at all these different tests because testing's expensive too.
Yeah.
So now we put them in the driver's seat. We've helped them to help you, to guide you for them saying, hey, this test. And now you can, I mean, and then you as the provider can say, oh my gosh, yeah, let's do that. Let's figure that out. And then if they are, there may be a protocol or something else that they need to add in that you get to guide them. What just happened? That relationship between you and your patient, in my opinion, grows stronger because that's one thing that really, really weakened with me of all the guessing and all of the providers is, oh, this one, you need HRT. I needed HRT at 40. They weren't looking at anything else. The hot flashes and night sweats were through the roof. Guess what? I didn't need HRT, but you understand.
Right. Well, and it takes, I guess it's going to take a certain kind of provider to be able to have the patient, because, we did our Christmas episode and my nurse Lexi was like, all right, naughty or nice, patients Googling their symptoms before they come in. And I was like, nice, let's go. You're going to Google it anyway. You might as well talk about it. And we're direct primary care, so I've got an hour to go over it with you anyway. Let's figure out where your concerns are, what information, because I like to tell patients that have anything interesting as far as like a diagnosis when they come to me. I'm like, all right, well, let's start with the fact that you're probably more of an expert in that disease process than I am. Now, I'm going to challenge you on that real fast because I'm going to get up to speed real fast. But if you've been studying and talking about and in the weeds with your XYZ condition that I see once every 2 years, you're better at that than I am. But
Right.
let's do this together. But at the same time, if your patients have their genome and they have this information, like, hey, what about this? A doctor with a little bit of time and a little bit of humility ought to be able to take that and run with it.
And get to the root cause
Right.
faster.
It's not a challenge to your, omniscience. It's information for you to use. All right, here's a tool. What do you want to do with that? You're the craftsman. Do something with it. And in the direct primary care world where I'm at, time's on my side, and humility went out the window years ago. When I started direct primary care after burning out in the ER, I didn't even really want to be a doctor anymore. And then we went with, well, I'll be able to help if I give everybody an hour as often as they need, I'll be able to help. Everyone's going to feel great. And I just couldn't. People feel like crap. And then my mentor was like, when are you going to get into hormones? And I'm like, I don't know. When I'm not the weirdo for being the concierge doctor in my little town, like I'm already, I'm already there. He looked sideways at me. And then as it started opening doors, that opened doors into functional and peptides and all the things I didn't know existed because I was a residency trained family medicine dude that did ER for 15 years. So what do I know? But so getting in, then it was like, okay, well now we can all agree I don't know anything. So let's go. Let's figure this out together.
I
But
think we
having a
have to
tool like this is cheating.
we have to keep learning. We have to
Yeah.
keep learning. I think I love to educate about genetics, but I love to learn what I don't know, right? There's so much more. And I think that's the beautiful part of it. And I think we are in a time and a space. The NIH says by 2030, gold standard in care is going to be personalized. How are we
Yeah.
going to get there?
That's not that far away, by the way.
I know it's not.
That's
I
like
know.
now.
I know.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think that's crazy. I love this, man. I think this is a huge step. And this is really, I mean, it's not a one-stop shop. It's not everything, but it's the supplement. It's the best supplement strategy that we've ever had. It sounds like there's disease modification strategies that are going to be useful in the, for the, big research centers and all the things that, how are we going to use this to regenerate livers on people, all those, totally different questions, but how so much the majority of the population is trying to do all the right, not the majority of the people that we see in medicine on our side of the fence, on the wellness, uh, taking personal responsibility for my healthcare side of the fence. The majority of the people are doing the best they can with what they got between them and AI and Google and their doctor and the supplement rep and the YouTube channel and the podcasters, those darn podcasters. They're doing the best they can with what they got. But to have something like this, I think this is long overdue. So I don't know. Thanks.
No.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. It's
Okay.
been fun. It's been fun to hear the results. I mean, and we've seen it. We've seen really amazing things happen with histamine response and food allergies. And I mean, and the body, we were made to heal. We
Yes.
really were. We just need the right inputs.
Well, and that's the whole functional medicine approach is get the stuff out of the way that's keeping your body from healing itself, really. And then, but the question is what's in the way? Which thing? And how do I do that? And it's, mental health, exercise, sleep, stress, healthy diet, all the things. But this is going to help all of those things. The way your DNA works is going to help all of those things. I'm really this is really fun, man. Kim, thank you so much for coming on and blowing probably several people's minds that are going to hear this. And how can people get a hold of you if this is the kind of thing that they think they're missing?
Our website is www.snip nutrition.com because Nutrigenomics is too hard to spell.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
So SNiP Nutrition. And, we've got a YouTube channel filled with providers talking about all types of what's important to you, Dr. Clint, might not be important to me, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
because we're all so very unique. So there are so many stories of whether it's sleep and mood and mental wellness, all kinds of stories, inflammation, etc., that can be listened to because it lies in your genes.
Who knew? I mean, we all kind of thought it did, but this is fun. Kim, we'll get as much of your contact info as we can in the show notes. People can reach out to you, find you, go to the website and get this process potentially started, or at least educate themselves up on what it would take. Man, thanks for coming on. I think it might be a fun addition to our practice. Like anything else, probably start with the tough cases and work to everybody once it does its thing. But this is really fun. I'll be reaching out and figuring out, how to point people to to you best. But thanks for coming on the show and keep it up. It's great.
Thanks
for
so much,
joining me
Dr.
today on
Clint.
MyMD Unscripted. I hope today's conversation opened your mind and inspired you to imagine a better path for your health and therefore life. If you found value in this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone passionate about transforming healthcare. Real change starts with real conversations, so let's keep them going. Until next time, stay well, stay curious, and never stop pushing for better.